Welcome to this week's live strategy session. Thanks for joining in. Great to have you with me today. Plenty going on in the markets. Lots of interesting things to have a talk about with stocks coming off. Lots of things happening in the commodity space. So it should be pretty interesting to talk about. As always, everything today is general commentary only. Doesn't take your personal situation into account. Having said that, let's. I think we should get straight into those charts. So let's start off with the ASX 200. And well, last week we had an all-time high, and I guess the question is last week's all-time high a lasting peak, or is it simply a pause in an ongoing trend? And that's what I want to go through and assess in the first part of today's session. And it is interesting when you look at the price action. You look at the price action, and when people decide they want to sell, they often decide they want to sell in a hurry. And we can see that, just like you can see, several weeks of upward price action is reversed in just essentially 3 days, 3 days of selling. So in 3 days, the ASX 200 is back to where it was around the 21st of February. So it doesn't take too long to erase those gains when you get people wanting to sell. And you ask and you look at the question, you go, well, what's changed? Well, other than those 3 down days, I think the overall technical situation, it's largely unchanged to what it's been in recent weeks. We still have rising moving averages, the 50 and the 100-day moving average. Both are still pushing higher, and the market has been finding support along the moving averages on pullback. So from that perspective, not much is different. We also have a market, and this is an important thing we need to remember when assessing this. We have a market that from the October low, has put on around 16% in the past 4 months. So from that perspective, I really don't think it should be that surprising that we are seeing some volatility coming into the price action. And as you'll note, my approach has all been about going with the momentum. That's what we've been talking about over the last few months. It's what we were talking about last week. Prices breaking out. I was saying, look, we go with the momentum. And it's been a process of investing as prices have been rising. But as we've spoken about, it's also been about not chasing stocks that have run hard. So that's one of the things I said last week. I said I was hesitant to chase stocks that have run hard. And that's because stocks that run hard can then come back a lot when the market retreats. And just saying that, if you're in a stock that's run hard, well, I think that's great. And when I'm in a stock that's run hard, I want to let it keep running. I want to give it room to move. I want to let it run. But the distinction is I don't want to chase stocks that I don't own that have run hard. So if they've run hard, I'm not on board, well, then I'm more inclined to pass on them, because when the market comes back, they can come back a bit harder. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to take you back inside my broking account. So let's just click over. I'm just going back into my self-wealth account. So this is my live account. You can see it's just updating as we look at it now. So what I want to show you, you can see here, this is the market. This is the ASX 200. It's down at the time of filming 1.26% for the day. My portfolio is down 0.44% for the day. So what that's about a third of what the market's decline is. Here are this is just for the day. It shows the tracking of the two baskets of stocks. Down the bottom, we have the ASX 200, and you can see 1305. So it's right now. It's time of filming, and above it, you can see my portfolio. It's been doing better, basically since the open. There's a 20-minute delay between my live portfolio and what they show on the platform. But it's a good way just to see where your portfolio's tracking. And then when I'll show you something else. So I click into my portfolio. I'm going to go down to performance, and I can just see. So this is over the last 12 months. So the green line's me, the blue line's the market. So since the October low, I've been outperforming on the way up, and now we're getting this bit of volatility creep in. I'm outperforming on the way down. Well, at least so far, it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes I'll underperform the market. Nothing works perfectly all the time. No sort of approaches, but so far that's been the case because I haven't been chasing stocks which have been running hard, other than holding the ones in my portfolio which have been doing well. Hopefully, your portfolio's got the same sort of skew, and it's all about it's really all about that rules-based investing. We're buying as prices are breaking upwards, and we're holding them when they're working, and we're giving them move around because we know they won't go up every day. But when a stock isn't working, when it's falling, when it's below those moving averages and declining, well, then we're kicking it out of the portfolio, and that's helping us do better when we're getting these down periods in the market. Again, as I say, some periods I'll underperform the ASX 200, but at the moment the process is working quite nicely. So I think it's really important we have these processes that we can follow that can help us over time potentially outperform the index. Now, let's go back to the ASX 200. This whole discussion we're having about what's going on now, and I think that ASX 200 is back to the 50-day moving average. This has been a key support over the last couple of months. We've seen a couple of times ASX 200 has come back to the moving average with a strong rally. So if the market can find support here, well, that's all good. It keeps the current sequence of generally moving higher in place. But if it doesn't find support, then maybe we're going to finally get that larger consolidation that you could say is due from the October low, big 16% gain. You remember during this period, during mid-February, I was talking about, I thought really I'd like to see the market do some more backing and filling before potentially breaking higher. We didn't get that. We got that spurt higher over the last few weeks. Maybe that's not a sign that the market's just going to continue accelerating. Maybe it does still need to do that pause. So let's see what happens around this 50-day moving average. But don't be surprised if we do get some more consolidation that does continue on for a little bit. At this stage, I think the overall trend is upwards. I want to maintain exposure to the market, as you saw with my portfolio. Looking at my portfolio, current holdings, it's almost $1 million worth of stock. So I'm very much doing what I'm saying I'm doing. I want to maintain that exposure to the market, but we know it's just not going to go up every week. The last 4 months have been terrific. Last 4 months there've been some terrific gains, and we can quickly forget during these periods, when we do get these periods of really, really good performance, we can forget that it's not all plain sailing. We don't need to go back too far to remember the months of misery during 2022, and then also the tough periods last year. So we enjoy these periods when they happen, but we know they don't happen week in, week out, or month in, month out. We're going to get plenty of turbulence, lots of uncertainty along the way. The market just doesn't make it easy, and as always, I'm using those wide trailing stops. So whatever pullback we get now, maybe it's really only just short term and it's off again. But if it does turn into something larger, I've got those wide trailing stops to try and see off a pullback, and then let the market regain momentum, maybe in a month or two or 3's time, whatever that may be. So, but if we do get some sort of a larger turn, well, the trailing stops get me out and protect capital, so you don't get caught if the market goes into a tailspin, which I'm not expecting it to do, but that's why we have trailing stops. Now, if you're getting some value from this, please hit that like button, short comment, just let me know it's helping what I'm doing, and that really helps me a lot when you do those things. Helps the YouTube channel for the free content that I put up. And now I'm going to move on to the small orders in a minute. Look at the commodities. Got a couple of stocks I want to have a talk about, but of course that wraps up the free section. So I'm going to continue on for strategy session members. If you're not a strategy session member, links below, come and join in. Doesn't cost much. I'm going to talk about copper in a minute, which has done some really good things since we spoke about it over the last couple of weeks. So there's great ideas that you can potentially get on board by coming on in. So, okay. So having said that, let's now jump over to Small Ordinary.